my whole life, running was my therapy. Now, I can't run the way that I used to.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. But I can run. Took me 2 years, but I can run. And the first time I ran again on the beach with my daughter. And you know what? My biggest motivation was that one doctor that told me I would be in a wheelchair forever, that I would never run again, and that I would never wear shorts again because of all of the scars. So I put on my bikini and I ran. And now I can run. It's not pretty, but I can run. I don't run the way I used to, but you know what? I can do other things that I never did before.
Welcome everyone to Learn, Speak, Teach, powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC. If you love to learn, be inspired, and succeed, we're here to speak and teach. I'm your host, Ben Albert. I believe if you're not living, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're withering. And if you're not engaged, you can turn this off right now. Because we here at LST are lifelong learners. And listen, I'm not your guru. I'm an ordinary guy on a journey to learn from the experts. My goal is to host each conversation with a beginner's mindset. Learn and let the experts speak and teach their truths. Join us! Oh yeah, and don't forget to subscribe. This episode is brought to you completely free. Get some stake in the game here. My fee for the show only takes a few moments. If you gain value from the episode, personally share with a friend and explain your favorite part. Bonus points. Please leave us a review on Apple, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you listen to the show. All right, let's get started. Welcome everyone to Learn, Speak, Teach on the Real Business Connections Network. I am here with the lovely, amazing, inspirational Amberly Lago. Amberly, what's up? How are you today?
Oh my goodness. I'm so good. I'm happy to be talking with you. And thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate it.
I'm excited. Everyone's going to love this conversation. I know personally, talking to you 5 to 10 minutes before we click record, you're one of those people that make people feel good about themselves. You're the kind of person that inspires people. And you have a unique story, but Brian Boger taught me this. We all have unique stories. And I want to give you an opportunity to tell yours. And as we listen, we'll be able to kind of align ourselves with our own vulnerable story. Before we get there, I want to give you the grace of giving a short introduction. Because Amberly, you're a 2-time best-selling author, most recently True Grit and Grace, Turning Tragedy into Triumph. You're a TEDx speaker. Guys, cue that up. You're going to want to watch your TED Talk. It's incredible. You are a podcast host of True Grit and Grace, a peak performance coach, and founder of Unstoppable Life, the mastermind. I know personally, I met you through David Mamano. David Mamano hosts the Gonzo Experience. I told him I wanted some kick butt recommendations. He recommended you, Amberly, and I was like, Amberly Lago, I already know who Amberly is. Thank you for the recommendation, because I had seen you at a mentor Brad Lee's podcast, and I've listened to your show, and that's enough of me. My whole point, guys, is Amberly's kicking ass. And thanks again for coming on the show. I want to have some fun with you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Wow. What an incredible introduction. And I have to say, y'all, sometimes when I hear 2 times best-selling author and TEDx speaker, I'm still in shock because
right.
I mean, yes, I have worked my butt off, but I am here to share with you. If you have big dreams and big just goals that you want to achieve, you can absolutely do it, because I really seriously came from nothing. Um, I mean, I'm embarrassed to say this a little bit, but
Right.
actually not. Ben, I just bought my first computer 5 years ago. So to go from not even owning a computer to having a book and doing a TED talk and sitting here with you on Zoom and figuring out technology, if I can do that, anybody listening, y'all can do anything.
And we're all ordinary people at the end of the day. You have just provided extraordinary results due to your grit and grace. We've talked about the accomplishments, but let's start with just Amberly at the core. Like, who are you? Like, how do you identify yourself? You're more than just an entrepreneur. Who is Amberly?
Well, it's interesting because I really had I started getting asked to speak at panels and events on about being an entrepreneur. And I'm like, oh, but I don't know. Am I an entrepreneur? What's an entrepreneur? And, I really thought about it. And I started working at age 13. But before that, I was just telling one of my clients the other day, I said, I love bringing people together and building people up and sharing whatever has worked for me and coming together and brainstorming. And I really looked at when that started, and that started at about the age of 7 or 8.
Wow.
I remember with my cousins, we were at my grandmother's house, and I was like, we are going to have a club. We're meeting in the hen house. I had t-shirts made that said Super Chicks, and they had a little fuzzy chick emblem on them, and they said Super Chicks, and I had my cousins' names printed on the back. And I was like, we are the Super Chicks. And I was president of the club, and we would just go and like cheer each other on. And I thought, wow, even from a young age, I loved empowering women. I didn't know what that was.
Right.
But I started working at age 13 teaching dance. I started doing whatever I could to make money. I choreographed for the drill team. I choreographed for the cheerleading squad. I was a lifeguard. I babysat. I scrubbed toilets. I worked at the cookie jar at the mall. I did whatever I could because I had a big dream, and that was to dance professionally in Hollywood. Now, I didn't have family that was like, okay, we're going to fly you out and set you up in a nice apartment and everything's going to be great. It was like, okay, good luck with that. And so it was up to me to make my dream happen. I didn't have a lot of people saying, I believe in you. You're going to do this. This is what you're going to do. It was like I depended on my commitment, and I wasn't just interested in making it happen. I was committed. To making it happen. And so I saved up $1,200, packed up my little Suzuki Samurai. I was the last one of my friends to get a car after I got my driver's license. And it was because I had to buy my own car. So I was very proud of this car, and I kept it spotless clean. And I think that's the thing when you've, have some skin in the game, when you've bought something, it's like you are proud of it. You've worked hard for it. And so I packed up that little Suzuki Samurai and headed out to California. And man, let me tell you, ignorance is bliss. Because I didn't know I was staying in the worst part of town where there were a lot of gangsters. I woke up the next morning after being in this kind of shady motel. And I was like, what's different about my car? And I was like, oh, they stole the top off of my car. So when I first got to LA, I had a convertible with no top for the first year. So it would be raining. And so I didn't have enough money to buy the top for another car. So I wore a poncho and I'd drive in the rain. But the first 2 weeks I was in California, I had 4 jobs. Wow. And, the first place I went into, there was a sign that, needed help. I went into this little diner and I grabbed the sign off the window and I went in and I was like, hey, I'm here. I need a job. And they're like, I'm sorry, you're overqualified. And I'm like, no, I really need a job. And they're like, no, we need a dishwasher. And I was like, I will do that for you.
Right.
And they're like, no, you need to go somewhere else. You can find another job. And so I did. I found another job. I basically had to beg and plead this restaurant called Red Robin because it was a corporate restaurant and you had to
Mm-hmm.
start out a certain way and go through all these corporate things to get a job. And I got a job waitressing. And I was like, holy cow, I was making tips. I was making tips. It was in a shady area, and we would have Hell's Angels come in and they would leave me $100 tip. But the best thing was I could do my schedule around what my passion was, which was
Mm.
dance. And so I was teaching dance and I auditioned, and the first job I ever got dancing was about a month after I got to San Francisco. And I got a job dancing with MC Hammer in the music video, Can't Touch This. And I
Oh,
was like, I've made it. I'm
yes.
dancing with MC Hammer. And so one thing led to another. There was a lot of rejection along the way, which taught me well as an entrepreneur. Um, but I had a successful career in dance, which led me into the fitness industry. I did the fitness industry for 26 years, and I had trainers that worked with me. Um, and every rejection, every struggle really developed my resilience. And it's all how we look at it. I had to learn to reframe every rejection as this is redirecting me, every
Mm.
no into this is one step closer to the yes that I'm meant for. And so it's been a journey, but that all changed. My goodness, it all changed my fitness career, my dance career. I was sponsored by Nike. If you walked into any CVS or Rite Aid and there was me on labels of vitamins. I remember the first time I walked into CVS and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know they were going to put my picture on the vitamin label. I guess I signed that waiver.
Yes.
And so there I was. And to go from that to having your life completely turned upside down after I was hit by an SUV was when I really had to dig into grit. And by the grace of God, I'm here with you today.
Thank you for sharing this story, Amberly. And it's inspiring the way you came from nothing and you turned the tragedy that we'll talk about into a moment really into triumph. I'm wondering, a lot of us feel that way. Life wasn't handed to us on a silver platter, and we're getting rejected and we're hearing lots of no's. What would you say to someone who's in that beginner role, that their family, their friends might not be supporting their dreams, and their opportunity hasn't been handed to them on a silver platter? Is there anything through your story that you've learned, just something actionable that we can take home with us to let us know that we're okay and this is what we should do to get out of it and ultimately mimic what you've done and be triumphant long term?
Oh my goodness. What a great question, first of all. And, I think it's so important to really have a vision for what you want your life to look like, a vision for you, not that somebody else tells you, oh, you should do this. Or I had plenty of people. I had my track coach
Right.
saying, you should go to the Olympics. I want to train you to go to the Olympics. I had my dance teacher saying, you should be a full-time teacher for me. I want you to be a full-time teacher for me here at the studio. I had my parents saying, you should go to college. That wasn't the vision for me. I
Mm.
had a vision of, I want to go to Hollywood and dance and fill my heart with joy and get paid to do the thing that I love. Nobody understood that. I even had a partial scholarship to UCLA, which I completely let go
Hmm.
um, because I auditioned at a dance studio and got a full scholarship there. That was my vision. So I would say really focus on what is your vision for your life? What is your calling? And then become a part of that vision. So, for instance, when I say that, when I wanted to write a book, I had this big idea of writing a book. I didn't own a desk. I didn't own a laptop or computer. I had never written a book. I didn't know how, but I knew I wanted to do it. So I had to become a part of that vision. I had to become a writer. So I bought a desk. I started writing. I would say I wrote 90% of my book in a notebook. I'm big on notebooks. I mean, look, they're all over the place. I'm big on notebooks. I wrote 90% of my book on a notebook. And then I found an editor and he was like, you've got to buy a laptop. And I'm like, okay, well, where do I do that? What do I need? Bought a laptop. And so every day I set aside time to write. I became a part of that vision. And I will tell you, whatever you want to do, you got to love it. Because if you don't love it, it's going to be real hard to be successful at it. Like, look, Ben, there's a lot of work that goes into podcasting. It's not just showing up right here. You've done your research. You went out and you found me. We've been connecting through email. Then you promote it. It's a lot of work, but if you love it, it doesn't feel like work.
No.
You can get it done. So I would suggest have that vision for you. Become a part of that vision. Really love what you're doing. And then ask yourself, okay, what am I willing to put up with? Like, what is the really hard stuff that I would endure for my dream, for my vision? If you want to be an entrepreneur, but you don't like working long hours or crazy, weird hours, then maybe an entrepreneurial life is not for you. If you want to be a fitness trainer, but you don't like working out, then you definitely should not be a fitness trainer. If you want to be an author of a book, but you do not like writing, maybe you should hire a ghostwriter. I mean, there's always other options, but really love what you do and be committed to it and set an end goal. I think that's really important. You know what? Let me tell you right now on my desk, I've got so many of these little sticky notes.
Sticky notes.
Oh my gosh, I love sticky notes. But if I don't have a date set to when it needs to be done, guess what? It just becomes part of the decoration of my office. It's a sticky note with some words on it. Set an end goal. So it's important to set these little micro goals that you can do and achieve and do the big check mark and celebrate the victories along the way until you get to the macro, the big goal that you've achieved. And I can't stress enough how much it means to your confidence, to everything, to celebrate your goals along the way, because I didn't do that for a while. Like I was just like this on autopilot, just go, 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 go. Like, when I first published my book, I had a publicist that was just like, you say yes to everything. And I've had some incredible opportunities. And I think it's real important to pause and be grateful for that opportunity. And even like coming here on your show before, I paused and I was like, I get to come on your show and get to be with your audience. And that is a privilege. That's an honor. So thank you. And so I think those things have really helped me to remember what my vision is and to remember that people won't understand your vision. Look, my husband, he doesn't understand my vision. He kind of does now that he's seen some things happen, but nobody will understand your vision except for you. But that's why it's real important to surround yourself with passionate people that are doing similar things. because you need to be around people. I don't know about you, but
Mm-hmm.
I just feel better. Like, I mean, I honestly, I felt better when I've had kind of a busy day doing things. And I knew that you and I were like-minded. And I was looking forward just to seeing your face and getting to connect. And as soon as we connected, I was like, oh, I can exhale. I got somebody that's like-minded. Like, you need to be around those people, you
You
know?
you do. And thank you very much. I feel the same way about you. Passionate, you're personable. And I love this point of lots of P's here, but part of your vision. So I don't have to go and live my vision in its entirety overnight, but a part of it. So my vision, Amberly, isn't to be a podcaster per se. I have a marketing company. That's what pays the bills. But part of my vision is ultimately to help move the needle in over 1 million careers. And that happens
Mm,
one conversation at a time. So
it
the
does.
podcast is not going to pay the bills, at least overnight, but it's a little tiny piece part of my vision where I am better already from getting to know you and learning from you, and so are the listeners. So if we can move the needle, and I'm not talking about just hit a like, move the needle on 1 million people's careers, think about that. Think about what we can accomplish together, Amberly. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering, in terms of vision, you had a lot more clarity than a lot of us. How did you find clarity on what your purpose, your vision was? Like, how do I find clarity on what that vision actually should be?
Oh, that is such a great question. And you know what? I get that question a lot too. Like, well, I don't know my purpose. I don't know my calling. I don't
Yeah.
have a vision. What do I do? And I would say, first of all, you are born with purpose and you are here for a reason.
Right.
And I beg of you to just think about what brings you joy. Like, really, I
Mm,
encourage you to think about what brings you joy. And you know what? There might be some people that are sitting here going, well, I don't have anything that brings me joy. The weather sucks. My health sucks. My relationship sucks, whatever it may be. So think about what brought you joy when you were 8 or 9 years old.
mm,
Like, what was that thing that just lit you up as a kid? And it could be anything from, like, for me, it was, and I don't know why my mom let me do this, but every Friday night, I don't know, 8 years old, 7 years old, every Friday night after the football game, football's huge in Texas. We would all meet at the Dairy Queen and I would dance on the tabletop while the whole squad, I mean, the cheerleaders, the band, the football players were in the Dairy Queen, and I was the entertainment. I was on the table dancing, and I could see everybody just light up with joy seeing this little kid just dancing her heart out. And that joy brought me joy. And to
right.
see that, and you know what? That's connected to what I still do today. I'm not on tabletops dancing, but I'm on stages dancing sometimes, but speaking. And I get to see that transformation and that joy in people's eyes. And so when I think about, like, what is the thing that I love to do? It's, I love people and I love connecting people. And I feel like there are not just enough pieces of the pie. There's enough pie in the world. Like, there's enough abundance for
Hmm.
all of us. And so I love connecting people. I love opening my playbook and saying, this is how I did these things. Um, and it all stems from what I loved doing as a kid was helping people, inspiring them, bringing them joy. And when I thought about that, it's like, that's exactly what I do now.
Right.
And you know what? Then after my motorcycle accident, I remember I was in the hospital for 3.5 months And we had a hospital bed set up in the living room because I couldn't go up and down the stairs. I was completely bedridden. I couldn't even use the bathroom on my own. And I remember this one friend of mine who was a trainer, she came over and she was like, well, what are you going to do now? You can't train clients. And I just burst into tears. And I was like, what do you mean I can't train clients? And I hadn't thought about that. I thought, well, I'm just going to get better. I'm going to train clients. I'm going to do what I used to do. And you know what? I really think that resilience isn't about bouncing back, because that's what I learned. I didn't go back. I was trying real hard to go back to that. And once I opened my mind up to possibilities that there could be more, I thought, well, maybe I could work with people online. Maybe I could work with their mindset.
Right.
Then I started coaching. Then I started doing masterminds. Then I started being asked to speak at conferences and networking groups and rehabs and hospitals. And so I think that when we keep our minds open, new possibilities, even bigger and better things can come our way.
Bigger and better things. And let's slow down for a moment for anyone who hasn't heard your story. So you're at the time, the pivotal of your career, right? So you're dancing, you're modeling, everyone knows you, fitness, and then you were in a motorcycle accident. That was basically at a peak of your career, right? Let's slow down and what exactly happened there. So in case
Oh
anyone
my
doesn't know.
goodness. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was at the peak of my career. I had just filmed infomercial, an exercise like infomercial the day before.
Oh my
I
God.
was back doing infomercials and fitness videos. Thank goodness I had trainers that worked for me. It was it was called Amberly Brown Fitness. And I still have the t-shirts that say that. And my married name is Amberly Lago. And I remember when I got married, I told my husband, I was like, what about you change your name to Johnny Brown instead of me changing my name? And he's like, no, he's a lieutenant commander. He's like, I'm not changing my name. You change your name. So anyway, it was a very successful, lucrative career. And everything changed when I got hit by this SUV. And let me tell you, laying in the street, it's crazy what goes through your mind, because when I think back and I remember every moment and every detail from the moment that I looked the guy in the eye and I thought he saw me, but I guess he didn't see me, or he thought he could beat me out of the parking lot. I don't know. But he T-boned me. I was thrown 30 feet. And I remember sliding across the asphalt. And I was just, all I could think of is, please just don't let another car hit me. I couldn't tell where I was sliding into. And when I finally stopped, I looked down at my leg and it was just broken into pieces. And I was afraid to let it go. Like I held on to it because I thought it was going to fall off my body, which is a weird thing to say. And there was blood everywhere. I didn't know it at the time, but my femoral artery was severed. And I had a guardian angel, because I had this guy come up immediately, ripped his belt off, made a tourniquet on my leg.
Oh my gosh.
Another person, she was a nurse, came up to me and she held my hands and she's like, I need you to breathe with me. The paramedics were down the street. They saw, before they got the call, they were already running down the street with their bag. And everything lined up exactly perfectly for a miracle to happen. And I got to the hospital, and this nurse, beautiful nurse with brown flowing hair, leaned over me and she said, we're going to give you something to make you feel all better now. Because let me tell you, it hurt. And I had somebody ask, well, did it hurt? Yeah, it hurts when your leg is crushed. And I was put in a coma, and that's the last thing I remember. You know, I was there and I didn't know if I was going to wake up or not, because of my husband's reaction. You know, he was hysterical, running back and forth in the ER.
Mhm.
And when I did wake up, they told me I had a 1% chance of saving my leg from amputation.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know what? That was my hope. I was like, oh, well, there's still a chance. You just said, wait a minute. You said there's only a 1% chance. Well, that means there's a chance. So we need to find a doctor who is willing to take that chance with me. So we did a lot of paperwork to get rid of the doctor that was like, I need to amputate it. And we found one doctor, and I swear it took an act of God. And by the grace of God, we got me transferred to Cedars. And I just remember being in the hospital going, how much longer? How much longer? I mean, I was in so much pain, and it was hard to control the pain. And my leg was held together by these steel rods. And I got transferred to Cedars, and I had a team of doctors, and it took a total of 34 surgeries to put my leg back together. Now,
oh my gosh.
Had I known it was going to be 34 surgeries over a period of years, like it wasn't 34 surgeries in that first 3.5 months, of course, it was 34 surgeries over my last surgery was 2 years ago. So it was in and out of the hospital for years, and it was up and down mentally, having to get in and out of a wheelchair. I had to switch that to I get to get out of the wheelchair, because I was told I would never get out of a wheelchair again, that I needed to stay there. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. My little brother has been in a wheelchair his whole life. I grew up with him. I mean, I get that. Again, we talked about vision. That wasn't the vision that I saw for me.
Right.
I didn't want that. In fact, my accident happened in 2010. I think it was about 2008 when I finally was told my husband, I was like, get rid of the wheelchair. I don't want to see it in the garage. I don't want it. And, you know, that might offend a lot of people hearing me say that. But for me, mentally, I didn't want that. And like I said before, there's a lot of people that might not understand that and your vision and why you do certain things. But don't let it stop you from going after what you want to do and what you want to achieve. There's so many people that'll tell you. I mean, look, there's so many doctors that tell me that, oh, well, because I was diagnosed with this nerve disease called complex regional pain syndrome, and it leaves you in constant chronic pain. And when I say constant chronic pain, I mean excruciating pain, like that wants to take over your body. And I was told that that's why I would be wheelchair bound. And there are a lot of people that have CRPS that they are wheelchair bound, and my heart goes out to them. That's just not what I wanted for me. And believe me, it's not that I don't struggle. It's just like, I don't want that for me. I want to be able to stand up. My whole life, running was my therapy. Now, I can't run the way that I used to.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. But I can run. Took me 2 years, but I can run. And the first time I ran again on the beach with my daughter. And you know what? My biggest motivation was that one doctor that told me I would be in a wheelchair forever, that I would never run again, and that I would never wear shorts again because of all of the scars. So I put on my bikini and I ran. And now I can run. It's not pretty, but I can run. I don't run the way I used to, but you know what? I can do other things that I never did before.
Thank you for sharing this with us, Amberly. I'm imagining you on the TEDx stage. Hundreds of thousands of people have watched you speak at TEDx. How did it feel on the stage that day? Were you in pain at the time? How did you not just cry your
Oh,
eyes out? What was the feeling on that day?
well, first of all, I think that, a lot of people, when they get that was a dream, like, oh, that'd be so cool to do a TEDx. But then when I actually got the opportunity and they reached out to me and they were like, we want you to do a TEDx talk, I was like, holy cow, what do I say? Oh, I only have to share the most important lesson of my life in 14 minutes. That's all I had. Like, you cut it down to 14 minutes. Yeah. So it was
Right.
like, okay, I got to get really specific. So anybody that really wants to do a TEDx talk, I'm going to tell you right now the things that I wish that I would have done. I wish I would have hired a coach, to somebody who specifically knew what the rules and everything are for TEDx, and how important it is to really focus on like the value that you give. And I really tried to do that. I really got specific with, with what works for me. And if y'all watch my TED talk, I share the P.A.C.E.R method, which this is something that I came up with that I use every day that has changed my life. And it wasn't until I started having friends my best friends that I had reached out to share it with them, that they were like, oh, it works for me. It helped me get over that anxiety. It's helped me get up and go to the gym. And so I would, it really worked for me. But
How does that work, Amberly? How
the
does
P.A.C.E.R
the
method,
P.A.C.E.R method? How exactly does that work?
well, you know what? I needed something quick. To tap into, to understand why, oh my gosh, why am I crashing? Why am I feeling depressed? How can I get out of this anxious feeling I'm in right now? I'm overwhelmed. I'm in pain. And so I needed something to remind me that we all have that resilience within us. And it's just our ability to tap into it. And so it actually, how it came about was my husband was like, you need to rest. And I was like, I do rest. He's like, you need to pace yourself. And I'm like, I do pace myself. And this is how I do all the things that I do. And I started writing on a dinner napkin what I did. And that's how I came up with the P.A.C.E.R method, which is first perspective, acceptance, community, endurance, and rest. In perspective, it all starts in our mindset. Like, it all starts in our mind, and and it's amazing when you realize you have a choice in how you're feeling, you take your power back. And the quickest and easiest way to do that and shift your perspective is with gratitude. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm constantly throughout the day shifting my perspective. I might get up in the morning and my leg's hurting, and I'm like, oh my goodness, my leg is hurting. Life sucks. I hate this. I will go into this negative mindset and spiral down. But if I say, I can stand up, I get to get out of bed, I get to go to work, I can walk, because for so long, I couldn't even stand up. I couldn't even use the bathroom on my own. So it shifting your perspective with gratitude shows you what you can do instead of what you can't do,
Right.
and what you do have instead of what you don't
Don't
have.
have.
And I think the next part of P.A.C.E.R is really the beginning of any transformational journey, whether it's personal or professional, and acceptance. And acceptance is really get real, like have some awareness with what's going on in your life. Listen to what your body's telling you. Listen to what your emotions are telling you. If you're in fear, where's that fear coming from? For me, acceptance was accepting some things that I was not doing that were helping me. Like everything we do is either helping us or hurting us. Whether it's drinking too much, eating too much, shopping too much, whatever it is to void what we're feeling. When you accept things, you can start to share them and you can get vulnerable with a community. That's what happened with me, is I was just able to share with a community. That's the next part of P.A.C.E.R, and community is powerful. Whether it is a community of entrepreneurs, a community of podcasters, a community of marketing and branders who are sharing their resources. Or for me, I got sober years back. It's my sober sisters and sober brothers, whatever that is, surround yourself with a community that you can connect with. And it takes endurance, which is the next part of P.A.C.E.R. And my goodness, as an entrepreneur, boy, does it take endurance. But you know what? Whether you're chasing kids around the house, or you're starting to train for a marathon, or you're just trying to keep up on social media, it takes endurance. And that endurance is what, like we talked about earlier, what are you willing to endure to get through, those dark valleys or the tough times to get to your goal? But it's really to get through that time. We're not going to always be motivated. Right. So it's having those healthy habits in place that you do every single day. It is discipline that gets you the endurance. And the last part is rest. Let me tell you, I'm real good at grit. I can grit it out, man. And there's not many things I can say that I'm good at, honestly, but with grit, I don't know if it's because I'm stubborn. I don't know if it's because I'm just really like wholeheartedly in love with something that I'm doing. I've got grit. I've had to learn the last part of P.A.C.E.R, which is rest. And rest, if you really want to be resilient, you have to strategically plan times to rest and restore and recover. And I've had to switch my mindset from resting means quitting to resting is a part of my business strategy. I mean, I even wear this ring now. It's like this ring that measures your rest at night, your REM sleep, your deep sleep. And it tells you in the morning. And the first thing I do is like, okay, how did I sleep last night? And it tells me, you got 7 hours. You did good. It makes me celebrate the fact that I got rest. And so whatever you have to do to get that rest and recovery, do it, plan it, because you have to do that in order to be resilient. So P.A.C.E.R is what helps me when I'm starting to feel weary. I'm like, what's going on? I go through I'm like, okay, how can I shift my perspective? How can I be in acceptance? Who can I call out, and be of service to in my community? How can I really increase my endurance, and how and why and what am I going to do to rest? And so I hope that helps the next time that you're feeling anxious or sad or tired. P.A.C.E.R, just that quick fix. How can you go through that list to help you get through that? What do you need to work on to get you to that next level?
I'm so happy I asked Amberly. I see the grit and the grace in the P.A.C.E.R. I mean, you've got to grind, but you also have to rest. You also have to build relationships, build a community. How do people keep in touch with you? They're going to want to listen to your podcast. They might want to reach out and connect with you online. They might want to even train and learn from you. Where should we send them? Where can people keep in touch?
Well, they might want to reach out. I hope they really want to reach out. I'm like, I hope they really,
they will want to reach out. And not only will they won't just might, they will, and they're going to. And this is a call to action to everyone. If something in this podcast spoke to you, do not hesitate. Do not worry. Reach out to Amberly or me. Reach out to me and I'll connect you to Amberly. Reach out to Amberly. Tell her exactly your top takeaway. Is there a hashtag or a way for them to tag you if they want to tag you? Or
oh my goodness, I would love that. And I will tell you that if you take a screenshot of this and post it in your story on Instagram and you tag me at Amberly Lago Motivation, when I see that, I will share it because I think it's really important to what makes me feel good when I see that something resonated with you, but also it's a great way to connect because I'm like, oh, wait, who tagged me? Oh, in their story, let me see who that was. So I can share it in mine. And when we share like that, we build our community. But also I wanted to say, I created this free downloadable playbook. And because I want you to hear this and not be just inspired, but I want you to take action. So if you text me the word grit, GRIT, to 818-214-7378, just text me the word grit. You're going to get your free downloadable playbook. So everything we talked about is going to be right there. So you can implement those things into your life. So any challenge that you're going through, but also that's a number where you can reach me. And just so you know, it is me texting you back. I'm sure, I've got a great team that could reach out and do that stuff. But you know what? The best part of my journey is connecting with people. And so that's what fuels my passion is when I hear from people. So that's me texting because I want to know what's going on I want to answer your questions. I want to know. And then reach out, amberlylago.com. You can find my mastermind. It's actually just filled up, but there'll be another one coming in a few months.
Awesome.
True Grit and Grace is my podcast. And reach out.
And listen, Amberly, if we missed anything, it's all in the show notes. Guys, I hope you took notes. Even if you didn't, my team took notes for you. Head to the show notes. There's some quotes and takeaways. There's all the links. But I encourage you to develop your own takeaways. Hit rewind a bunch of times. There's so much value. Not a bunch of times. Hit rewind to the start. Take notes the second time through. Even take a screenshot, maybe at that aha moment. I know that's what I'll do, Amberly. I'm going to take a screenshot when I feel that aha moment so I can timestamp exactly where the light bulb went off. And before I let you go, we only have a couple minutes here. I can't let you go without the rapid fire round because I take everybody through the rapid fire round where it's a short, sweet, either or fill in the blank questions to get to know you on a personal level a little bit better. Sound good?
Yeah, let's have some fun.
Coffee or tea? Coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee and tea. Coffee in the morning, tea at night.
Coffee in the morning, tea at night.
Every day.
Are you a morning person?
Yes.
Is Instagram the favorite social media? What's your favorite place to hang out?
Yes, definitely Instagram.
We'll do one guilty pleasure. Is there a favorite ice cream flavor, a favorite guilty pleasure after a long day?
Oh, yeah. My favorite guilty pleasure is frozen yogurt. And I have not found a good frozen yogurt place here since I've moved to Texas. So anybody in the Texas area, Dallas area, know a good place that I can hit up and stock it up in my fridge. So I haven't had my guilty pleasure in a while. I don't know.
Dang.
It's been a while. I know.
You deserve it. You probably don't need it though, but you deserve it if you want it.
Thank you.
We'll do one more. What are you learning right now? What's lighting you up? What's making you excited about tomorrow? Is there anything you're working on or learning right now?
Oh my gosh, I'm constantly learning and I'm constantly jumping out of my comfort zone. And I think I've been out of my comfort zone now for the past 11 years. But I would say the thing that I'm learning the most is more about technology. It doesn't necessarily make me happy to learn about technology, but when I do learn about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did that. I learned how to use those gadgets to do the screenshot. But I think the thing that I'm most excited about that gets me up in the morning, and I wish I could like show you, this whole side of my room is.
Okay. I can't can't hear you anymore, Amberly. Your mic went off. Can you hear me? Amberly had mentioned that she had issues recently, and right at the end of the conversation there, everything just exploded, crashed. So do check out the show notes. All the links to follow and keep in touch with Amberly are there. Screenshot this, post it, tag Amberly Lago Motivation on Instagram. Again, the link to all her social medias are in the show notes. And wow, I don't know what to say here. I miss her already. So I'm going to keep in touch with Amberly. I hope you do as well. Don't forget to subscribe, share this, tell a friend, tell a neighbor. Thank you for sharing sharing this time with us. I'm just so fortunate. I'm so grateful for all of you, and I'll talk to you next time. Be well. Thanks again for listening to Learn, Speak, Teach, powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC. You need to go subscribe if you haven't yet. This show is completely free. If you gain value from the episode, personally share with a friend and explain your favorite part. Leave us a review on Apple, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you listen to the show. All right. Thanks once more for listening to LST. I am so grateful. Talk to you soon.